Stargate has just been sitting on the shelf, languishing, and even before Amazon's purchase of it, nothing was being done that really pushed the franchise forward. It's a shame because when the shows began to get canceled by Sci-Fi, the channel was starting to go in a different direction. So it was always kind of mishandled there at the end. And since then, it just continued to be neglected. In Brad Wright's comments at this recent Comic-Con appearance or something like that, you could tell that he was thinking about Rings of Power and Amazon's Wheel of Time. He doesn't directly state it, but I think that's what the implication is. And as it relates to Stargate is very interesting, but also what Amazon's approach could be. Stargate's TV co-creator is confident in the franchise's return. Brad Wright addresses the state of Stargate in 2025 and why he is confident that Amazon MGM Studios will revive the franchise. The Stargate franchise has been off the airwaves for a lot of years now, more than 14 years since Stargate Universe aired its final episode. But despite Studio MGM dragging its feet on reviving the hit science fiction franchise, one of the creators of the Stargate TV universe is still confident that it's only a matter of time. Writer and executive producer Brad Wright addressed the state of the franchise during a recent stage appearance at FedCon 33 in Bonn, Germany. So this is what he said, quote, "Yes, there probably will be another Stargate. No, I don't know when. These are smart people. They know that they don't want to piss off the people that love the existing franchise that they just spent a ton of money on. And they learned the lesson from another show recently that I won't mention, that they should stick to what the fans already love a little bit." That one part that they learned their lesson from another show, I think it's definitely Wheel of Time. He continues saying, "I don't know. I have not had this conversation, but I'm pretty confident that they're going to try to find a new audience while not alienating the old audience. I think they would be crazy to alienate the existing fan base and not to keep in mind that Stargate belongs in the here and now." As far as what Brad is saying here, I think it's very telling. And Wheel of Time was actually very interesting, the reaction that I was seeing, because there were a lot of people that were saying, why did you keep Rings of Power, that was, of course, obscenely more expensive, and sacrificing this show that at least had some potential, that was trying to get better? But at that point, it was just too late. Some had to be sacrificed, and I guess they looked at it in the sense of, well, we have 2 fantasy shows, we can only do one, so we'll keep this one because we've spent too much already. We've invested too much to ignore it at this point. I kind of started to suspect it already, but there are rumors speculating that in the wake of Wheel of Time's cancellation, if Rings of Power might not be that far behind. They're questioning whether the 5 seasons could even be possible. But the fact that Brad Wright is talking about this, obviously this is well known behind the scenes, and his comments so far as his perception of what's going on behind the scenes of Amazon, the fact that he calls them like smart people and that they don't want to piss people off that love the existing franchise. He mentions that they spent a ton of money on MGM, over $8 billion. And now in the wake of Jennifer Salke's firing, who was ignoring all of this huge library of famous IPs and pushing her own stuff and spending obscene amounts of money that just wasn't getting the views, and throwing money to Phoebe Waller-Bridge for basically nothing, just to keep her, I guess, from doing shows elsewhere. She gave her $60 million, and the Tomb Raider show, I guess, is scrapped as well. She didn't do anything. Very poor decision making. But now that Jennifer Salke is gone, it looks like Amazon MGM is making some steps, is listening to some degree. We'll see what happens with James Bond. I think that's going to be very telling, what their approach is to famous IPs and not pissing off the fans. And that's one of their most well-known IPs. Stargate is kind of below, but it has a very dedicated, passionate fan base. Brad Wright recognizes the need to maintain that goodwill of the fandom. And the fact that he thinks that Amazon is now seeing that, that's interesting. And to have Jennifer Salke not there anymore, I think can kind of give me more optimism that they are trying to make changes. So if they can recognize it and prove it, I mean, we'll see how they handle the library of MGM so far. Time will tell. As far as when it comes to Stargate and what they can do, what you've done already, the formula is there within Stargate. I mean, I think SGU and even before that, Atlantis, those did a good job of existing within the universe, continuing to push the franchise forward in time, while also just establishing something new. His comments here that he doesn't know, he hasn't had conversations with anyone at Amazon, I'm guessing. But for some reason, he says he's pretty confident that they're going to try to find a new audience while not alienating the old audience. And he says that they would be crazy to do that, to just ignore that existing fan base and to not push it forward. I mean, there's definitely ways that you can push the franchise forward while not having to just wipe the slate clean, because you want to capitalize on the passionate, dedicated, built-in fan base that you already have. I think there's just a balance to be had there in trying to draw in that new audience while also not alienating the existing audience by ignoring the rules of the franchise or what people loved about Stargate to begin with, and to not just do a reboot of everything and start over, like a reboot of a new Daniel Jackson and new story, because they're already there. The Stargate film is great. I really think it would be a mistake, though, to not involve Brad Wright and the other writers, Joseph Malazzi, and so often studios don't want to do that. They don't want to involve in any capacity the people that previously worked on an IP, whether they are the original creators or if they were just really knowledgeable and well known as being tied to the IP, like Tom Shippey as a Tolkien scholar. That was a huge red flag when fans saw that he wasn't attached to Rings of Power anymore. And same thing with Brandon Sanderson, with them ignoring him for Wheel of Time, and Timothy Zahn as far as his contributions to the Star Wars universe with Ron, and just ignoring his calls. That's a lesson that I hope Amazon learns as well, that you have to involve these people that have such a long history that fans know about and have that history with. You have to have them consulting in some way if you want to build off what they've already established. And Brad Wright and a lot of writers from that era of television had to rely on very small budgets. And this is something that Amazon and a lot of other platforms on streaming continue to struggle with. It costs so much money, especially for science fiction. And a lot of times now, we're getting 10 episodes and 3 years between seasons. It's so ridiculous. And meanwhile, back in Brad Wright's time, they were pumping out 20 plus episodes a season every year. I think it was record breaking at the time for Stargate to get to 10 seasons. That was huge. So obviously they knew what they were doing as far as budgets and good storytelling. And that's the thing too. When you have a small budget, your characters have to shine. Your stories have to be compelling. That's the key. Because we can make allowances for reusing sets or not having these huge, epic, stunning visuals on the likes of Apple's Foundation. We can have something small and contained and being very decisive and being very careful with how they use the CG, kind of balancing the story with the budget to work with. But as long as the story is good and the characters are likable and interesting, then you're headed the right way. Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to keep people watching. That's what's going to keep people talking about it and spread that positive word of mouth. Brad Wright continued his comments. Amazon bought MGM in no small way because Stargate is one of their assets. So I don't know when, but I promise you they will do something. And because they're taking their time, that just means that it's going to be cool. I'm hoping, because I'm going to be a fan, just like everybody else in this room, of the new show. They purchased MGM for over $8 billion. Obviously, they want to capitalize on their numerous famous IPs. And he even says that they purchased MGM in no small way because of Stargate. Stargate is one of their IPs in this vast library. So it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's when. And he does kind of end it on a positive note as well, that because they're taking their time, that means that it's a good sign, that they want it to be good. They want it to be cool. So let me know what you think about his comments. Do you think Amazon is finally truly learning from their past mistakes and missteps with their handling of famous IPs? Do you think that Wheel of Time was a turning point, and in the wake of Jennifer Salke's unceremonious dismissal, do you think that this is a positive step forward too? Let me know. His comments have given me some hope. We'll see.